That was great. That was great. You know, I don't have fond memories of my birthday. I just don't. Reason being is that when I would call up my buddies to go out, and I was wayward for a good long while, they would say, "Nah, man, it's 2 weeks after Christmas, man. I'm broke." And then I would say, "All right, well, forget it. We don't have to spend any money. Just, come over." They're like, "Nah, I'm recovering from New Year's." So, nobody ever wanted to hang out on my birthday. But, this is, the greatest, because I couldn't think of being anywhere else, truly, than with my brothers and sisters, my family in the Lord, people that love me, that I love them. We have just an incredible relationship, and singing and praising the Lord with my favorite praise and worship team. And just, hopefully hearing, His word. So I'm incredibly thankful, not just because it's my birthday, just because of where I am and who I'm with. I have to read some things. I don't really celebrate New Year's per se, and I don't want to get all crazy on you, but I stick with the biblical New Year. It just doesn't mean much to me. It's man-made, but it's okay. It's, we live in a Gregorian nation, and so there's a new year, yes, that has passed. But let me read to you some things that happened in 2006 that you might not be aware of. And they're not going to be light and lively per se, so I'm just giving you a heads up. Israel lost a war last summer. I don't know if you're aware of that. And with Hezbollah, proving that she has the worst government in her 58-year history. Mike Wallace said that Iran's Ahmadinejad is a man we can do business with and is really quite likable. The left is deluded that such a messianic menace as Ahmadinejad has good traits when he wants to destroy parts of the free world, including American Israel. I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is what he says. This isn't something that, we're making up or something that's fabricated. He says this on a very regular basis. He's on a mission, you understand. Senator Keith Ellison, Democrat from Minnesota, is the first Muslim to get elected to high office. He will take his oath on the Quran. He is a pawn of the Council on American Islamic Relations, an organization in America to make all Muslims look good. And many of us are being incredibly duped. Christian censorship of the truth happened as Hal Lindsey and Zola Levitt Ministries were let go by Trinity Broadcasting Network for their pro-Israel stance. Yeah, they're gone. You won't see them on TBN. But you could probably buy a handkerchief for $39.95. That's going to bring you incredible fortune. The, quote, emergent church, I don't know if you're aware of this terminology, but it's incredibly dangerous, went from obscurity to prominence as is called evangelical by those who should know better. Emergent denies many of the essentials of the faith and relies on the touchy-feely gospel with candles, incense, even rosary beads for Protestants. They consider homosexuals, quote, Christians if they claim to be. You're not sleeping through this. You know this, right? Major league denominations and major league touchy-feely scenarios where they just want you to feel good. You can feel good for a time, but then when the music stops playing, the feeling's over. So-called evangelicals said this year that man-made global warming must become the primary issue for evangelicals. This is an organization known as the Evangelical Environmental Network, a collection of social gospel leaders parading as evangelicals. A 2006 conclusion is that the word evangelical today means nothing. Iran had a Holocaust denial conference with 30 nations in attendance. They weren't inquiring, they were locking arms with the denial. It confirms that anti-Semitism is spiraling out of control. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in a country like France, if you're Jewish and you go out at night, you're taking your life in your own hands. That's France. As Israel's Netanyahu said, it's 1938 all over again. Do you read, like Ezekiel 38:16 or Joel 3:11? where it says that the nations are going to destroy Israel and there'll be another, I mean, you can pray against that, and I would. I think Moses interceded well, but you can intercede against the prophetic scriptures, but I think if they're prophesied, they're pretty much going to come to pass. God doesn't change his character, but he can change his mind, like with Hezekiah, with the children of Israel and the golden calf. But when something's prophesied by the mouth of a legitimate prophet, it's pretty much, you understand? I mean, pray for little damage, but it's pretty much a done deal. Your prayer is not going to change God's prophet or his prophetic warnings or his prophecy. The belief that Islam can be tamed and appeased and then they will like us and even forsake Sharia law for democracy has to be the delusion of 2006. This mantra will not go away and picked up in 2006. The creation of a Palestinian state will help bring about world peace. This is promoted by the UN, the EU, the European Union, the State Department, the Vatican, and the White House, and every Arab capital of the world. A once obscure Senator Barack Obama, you know who he is? Has taken this country by storm. It's sad, though. Will he take the church by storm? Claiming to be a Christian, he is the most far-left Democrat in the whole Washington, D.C. You can't get any more far-left than he is. He spoke at Rick Warren's AIDS conference in December and got a standing ovation. Warren stated, quote, he would make a fine president. The concern is this sends a subtle message to Christians that he is safe to vote for in 2008. Listen to me. While the church, and that includes me, when I say the church, I am part of the church because the church is the body of Messiah, and I am part of that body. But while you are trying to be relative to your friends and neighbors, don't let them evangelize you. Do you understand me? If you saw me evangelize, you would think, my God, nobody's nicer than him, but I will not compromise the gospel and the kingdom. In 2006, it became clear that eschatology, Bible prophecy, you know what I'm talking about, eschatology? These are the end-time prophetic scriptures. These are the scriptures that relate to the very end of days and the coming of Messiah, or the second coming of the King, is the most mocked category of theology. But at the same time, the most important as it plays out before our eyes daily. You follow? And I just want you to know, there's not, and I'm not saying this derogatorily, but when you ask people in the last year, in the last 2 years, or the last 5 years at your church, how much eschatology is taught, it's almost nil. And we're living in the day. How could you not teach these precious, precious scriptures and end-time events when you're in the day? What interest is left is generally found in dominion or kingdom now. Do you know this? New theology? This is being embraced by many, many top guns in the Christian world. Kingdom now theology, that is that the church will make the world perfect for the Lord's return. This is where the doctrine of prosperity comes out, because if we're to take dominion and make the earth our footstool, then clearly we're supposed to be prospering in all that we do. The prosperity doctrine is birthed out of the kingdom now doctrine. Some of the most admired Christian radio and TV preachers now promote this false theology found nowhere in the Bible. A runner-up in popularity is the false teaching of pre-terrorism, not terrorism, terrorism. That is that all prophecy but the second coming took place in 70 AD. Christians are left bewildered as to what to believe and thus throw out the topic altogether, even though 60 million people have read the dispensational view from the Left Behind books. Now let me ask you something. If everything happened beforehand, Mark 24:2, Mark 13:2, Mark 13:2 and Matthew 24:2, Luke 21:6, and Luke 19:44, 4 places where Yeshua himself speaks and says that when the nations surround Israel, not one stone will be left on top of each other. And guess what? Every single commentary that you read will state that that happened in 70 CE.